Hey everyone, we are back with one of the top 5 video series. I got the idea from one of my viewers who suggested, why don't you do a top 5 underrated units video? So thank you very much for the suggestion. I liked making this video. It got me thinking, what units are actually really underrated and people totally underestimate them. Now, spoiler ahead, Carton is not on that list because I would rate Carton as one of the top 5 overrated units. Just because he saw so much use in Clash of Wills last month, it doesn't mean he's all that great. Yeah, he is a good unit for turn 1 burst, that's his shtick, but other than that, Carton is still the 3rd best DPS in Clash, and that doesn't mean anything. But this is not an overrated video. I am not quite sure if I'm going to make a top 5 overrated video, because that one is going to be super salt inducing and it's going to be a literal salt mine when I put Carton on rank 1 for that, so no. Anyway, top 5 underrated units. These are only Neo Vision units, or Neo Vision Awakened units I should say. I'm not accounting for 7-star units. For obvious reasons, this list would be rather big if I had to, or if I were doing 7-star units as well. Let's start us off with number 5, and number 5 was a hard pick because, well, for one, I picked Royal Puppeteer Aphmor. She is, from my point of view, she is a super good unit, but we just haven't found a niche use for her, but she is underrated in that she does a lot of things. Now, just to quickly mention which other units fought for this spot, those are Nyx and Ignis, both Final Fantasy 15 units. Nyx, I thought I would say, or put on this list just for his 25% enemy only field side Light Emperor, and Nyx, not Nyx, Ignis, I wanted to put onto this list because of his elemental flexibility and all the party buffs that he can do, while also dishing out some kind of damage. So both of these, they are also good picks for underrated units. Ignis, I used Ignis in the very first Clash of Wills to cap Clash of Wills, for example. So Ignis, he's not that bad. And Nyx, for the same reason, I also used him in Clash of Wills if I'm not totally mistaken. So he's also a great unit to have, and certainly underrated just because he's an NVA and doesn't do really much damage, but he is good too. But let's talk about Royal Puppeteer Aphmor. Now, the things that make her stand out and rather valuable, and thus a little bit underrated because Maeve and all, they are clearly the stronger tanks, but she does have the preemptive either 70% breaks when you start in base form, or the preemptive cover when you start in the Brave Shift, which I think it's a cool design, and it's a good Brave Shift design or unit design that she does entirely different things, even though she's a tank in both. Now, what I also like is that she has a perfect dispel on 2 accounts. Mainly, one is her Grandis, and 2 is her base form Limit Burst. It's super cool, I like it a lot, and it might even be very useful for some upcoming Chronicle Battle Trial, I should say. Maybe even for Dark Visions, who knows? I'm looking forward to using Aphmor at some point. She also has 85% breaks. It's also on her base LB, which is cool. But the strongest thing about Aphmor is that she has on-demand 135% Fire Emperor. That is so good. You actually save up on a spot, even though you're probably using Louise anyway, and Louise, when you use gun users obviously, and Louise also does the 135 Fire Emperor, so bringing Aphmor, maybe moot point because everyone brings Louise and or Lara anyway, but still, if you're missing Louise and or Lara but have Aphmor, here's a 135 Fire Emperor whenever you need it. And all in all, truth be told, she's still a decent tank. Just because Maeve does it so much better than everyone else, literally, doesn't mean Aphmor is a bad tank. She is very respectable in what she does. Alright, moving on with number 4, it's Gilgamesh. Now, you've seen me use Gilgamesh quite a few times, so you might be wondering why I would rate him underrated. I'm just basing this on comments on my videos saying you could use someone else instead of Gilgamesh. And that is most of the time a very fair comment. There are always better options than Gilgamesh. But I feel like people are not giving him enough credit because he technically is a Swiss Army knife of a unit. He has 120 impulse to all elements, while also having 130 to light and dark, which happens to be Sephiroth's element, dark that is. So that is, it's a bonus. He also has on-demand 85 all stat breaks, which is very cool. He has AR chains to chain with Mastermind Xorn. He can LB fill, so what can't this guy do? Well, damage for one, but he has it all, really. He can, well, for 2 turns that is, even cover. He dies after 2 turns, but who cares? When you finish the fight before he dies, it's a cover, technically. So he literally cannot not do anything other than healing and damage, but yeah, he is a literal Swiss Army knife of a unit, and I personally enjoy using him just because he's so convenient to use. I mean, I don't have to worry about imperils or breaks. It's all in there, and that's cool. He also has weapon breaks for break gauges if these ever become relevant again, so Gilgamesh, he does it all other than damage. Number 3 is Eurasia. We don't really need healers that much these days, or support units other than in Clash of Worlds, where we do have Kresnik, who is the best supporter, and what's it called, a morale battery. But Eurasia, when it comes to being a true support / healer unit, she is the best one. And she doesn't get enough credit for what she does. She has a great variety of killers, even the also elusive insect killer. I would almost said aloof insect killer, but aloof doesn't really fit here. So elusive insect killer. It's 100% for the entire party. It's great. She has break removal, imperil removal. She does have strong heals. I know we don't use really heals these days anymore, but it's there in her kit and it's super strong. She has a strong LB fill on her Grandis in Brave Shift, and in base form she does have 70% resistance buffs to, I believe, almost all elements. If Gilgamesh is a Swiss Army knife for DPS and general damage support, Eurasia is the Swiss Army knife and actual survivability support. She just does it all when it comes to that, and I feel like she's super underrated. I would also love to use her more, but Gumi or Alum don't want us to use support units other than Kresnik in Clash of Wills, sadly. Let's go with number 2, and that is Melia. Now, people might be surprised to see Melia on this list, and yeah, that is exactly why she's on this list. She is being overlooked for a lot of things. Like, people were super surprised to see Melia for Belladonna. I got the question, why don't you use Beatrix? And I was like, yeah, have you not seen the 200% human beast killer on Melia? And I mean, it's 200%, right? It was almost quintessential to the Belladonna strat. And human beast are the most, or at least human is one of the most common enemy types. And if you can use Xorn, well, Melia suddenly is a very, very good pick. She was, like I mentioned, she was almost a mandatory pick for Vision Worlds for the best scores. Although there was one wonky strat going to turn 36, I believe, that used 5 or 6 Riku's pouches to petrify your own team. You didn't need Melia for that, obviously, but yeah, for the rest of the fight, or for the actual high score strats, Melia was the best pick. She does have huge mitigation cooldowns. She uses the most common chain families with Bolting Strike and Stardust Ray. She has a good variety of party buffs, including a 20% Lightning and Earth Imbue plus Emp, and can remove imperils twice per fight via her base Grandis, while also being a good tank. And that is really all. It's the whole package. And I know many people dislike Melia just because she came at a time where we didn't use any magic tanks, but I feel like people are not giving her enough credit, and that's why she's on this list on spot 2, because she's far better than people believe she is. It's the reverse thing with Curran. People think Curran is super good when he actually isn't that super good. He's just good. Whereas people think Melia is super bad, but she's actually pretty good. Alright, let's move on to the number 1 slot or spot, and it's a shared number 1 between our buffers. Nicole, Roka, Sakura, and in brackets Frisia, because she got released just a couple of days ago. But yeah, people always seem to forget that while we don't need Roka, Sakura, Nicole, or Frisia that much right now, when the time comes, when the element aligns with the party or the requirements for the party setup, you are most likely bringing one of these 4 units. So when a Dark Vision boss is weak to water, Nicole is 99% of the time on the team, at least for me. The same happens with Earth teams. Do we have really good Earth Emperors in the game other than Roka? Nope, we don't. The same applies to Sakura, Lord Sage of Thunder Sakura. The only other Lightning Emperor that we have is Lightning, the original Lightning with a Brave Shifted LB. I believe it's 20 or 25% Lightning Amp. Compare this to Sakura's 45 amp. Yeah, it's easy to see who takes the cake here. And Sakura can also imperil the field to lightning when she uses Ra move in Brave Shift, just like Nicole can imperil water to the playing field when he evokes Leviathan. So both of them are technically the best. They always immensely enhance the respective elements, unless you are using premium units such as Avalanche's Tifa, who has a better water amp. She has 50%, but most units don't have a 50% amp. Most units, even including super limit burst units other than Auron, they have 35% amps on the super limit burst, which I still find rather dumb, but it is what it is, and that means at the end of the day, you will always bring one of these to a fight. Frisia maybe less so, because Bulwark, like I mentioned in my review earlier today, he does it better than Frisia on the most occasions. But Frisia is on this list because of her 300% LB buff. And Roka is also doing that 300% LB buff, which is another reason why she should be on this list on a shared rank 1 spot. And another thing I'd like to mention, I know I'm wildly skimming through this the bullet points, but you have to keep in mind, especially when it comes to magic stages, the only relevant magic damage dealer we have is Angela. One could make a point that on water teams, Summer Physalis is great. That is absolutely true. But still, Angela is still better than Physalis because we do have Nicole. And yeah, it's... whenever you use Angela, and I really hope you pulled for Angela, either of these 4 units will greatly enhance her skills, because Angela is just the best, and she will keep being the best mage for probably a very long time, unless they buff upcoming mages, which I don't see happening. And yeah, that is it for today. Thank you all for watching. I'd love to know which units you guys believe or think that are underrated. Let me know in the comments. I will gladly read them and discuss with you guys in the comments. And yeah, we'll see each other tomorrow for A, the Shinju review, and B, the top or the flop 5 worst 5 units, New Vision units in the game. Have a great rest of the Saturday morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're from. See you tomorrow. Peace.